Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera to Sir Rashid and my fellow friends. I am Nur Afika binti Azmi along with my team members Farisa binti Ali, Nurlina Nazwin binti Kamarudin, Nashuhaida binti Muhammad Nazar, Nur Shazani binti Johari and Wan Nur Afika binti Wan Abdul Hamid will present tax incentive for the hotel and tourism industry for Impiana Hotel Berhad.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurlina. I will continue to present about the background of the Impiana Hotel Berhad. So, Impiana Hotel Berhad is an investment holding company based in Malaysia. The company segment including hospitality business and also real estate development. The hospitality business segment is involved in the management and operation of hotel and also resort, real estate investment and hotel development. The real estate development segment is involved in real estate development activities. Impiana Hotel serve customer in Asia such as Malaysia, Thailand and also Indonesia. The company is wholly owned subsidiary Impiana Ipoh Sdn Bhd, which is involved in investment holding, management and also operation of the hotel and resort. It also include the property investment and hotel development, Impiana Hotel and Resort Management Sdn Bhd, which is also involved in providing professional management service to hotel, resort and recreation club. Impiana Cerating Sdn Bhd, which is involved in property development, resort operation, hotel business and related service. Okay, and the last one is Astaka Mekar Sdn Bhd is involved in investment holding activity. Okay, on 18 April 2019, Bio Osmo Berhad decided to buy and merge with Impiana Hotel Berhad and change their name to Impiana Hotel Berhad. The procedure was completed on 18 April 2019 and they are currently in process of changing their structure and official website. Bio Osmo Berhad and Impiana Hotel Berhad are into different industry. Before this, on 13 July 2006, Bio Osmo Berhad is sole proprietorship based in Malaysia that business revolve around the production of drinking water. And after the EGM held on 20 February 2019, the stakeholder of Bio Osmo Berhad agreed the idea of taking over Impiana Hotel Group into the company. Now they have abolished their previous drinking water business and focus on the hospitality business.
My name is Farisa binti Ali. I will be presenting on incentives for hotel and tourism sectors. Companies in the hotel and tourism sectors may be eligible for either pioneer status or investment tax allowance. Firstly, pioneer status given by way of exemption from capital investment on 70% of the statutory income for 5 years and the remaining 30% is taxed at the prevailing capital investment rate. Next is ITA or investment tax allowance is granted on 60% qualifying capital expenditure incurred for a period of 5 years and it will be utilized against 70% of the statutory income while the balance 30% is taxed at the prevailing capital investment rate. Continue from previous slide on incentives for hotel and tourism sectors. I will explain on double deduction. There are two types of double deduction which are firstly double deduction for overseas expenses and next is double deduction for approved training. Firstly, I will explain on double deduction for overseas expenses. For hotel and tourism sectors, an example of expenses that qualify for double deduction is expenses incurred in respect of publicity and advertisement in any media outside Malaysia to promote tourism to Malaysia. The expenses incurred are given as further deduction in arriving at the adjusted income. Expenses incurred for the promotion by the companies during the tax relief period will be not given deduction but accumulated and allowed as a deduction for the promotion purposes. Next is double deduction for approved training. For double deduction on approved training, it includes in-house or at approved training institution. However, it should be approved by Ministry of Tourism or conducted by a training institution. Next is allowable costs. Restriction under paragraph 4 subsection 5. Example of allowable costs related to hotels and tourism are advertising costs, brochure, magazine and guidebooks to tourists outside Malaysia, market research, fares to outside Malaysia respectively for purposes of tourism to Malaysia and overseas, trade fairs, conference and forums approved by Minister. Next is conference promoter. The tax incentives is given to eligible conference promoter and qualifying person. The exemption is on 100% of the statutory income derived from organizing conferences held in Malaysia in the relevant year of assessment. In this slide, I will explain on other incentives. Firstly is on Industrial Building Allowance or IBA. An IBA is granted to companies incurring capital expenditure on the construction or purchase of a building that is used for specific purposes, including hotels that are registered with the Ministry of Tourism. Next is tariff-related industries. Exemption from import duty on raw materials or components. Full exemption from import duty can be considered for raw materials or components regardless of whether the finished products are meant for the export or domestic market. Hotel and tourism projects qualify for full exemption of import duty on identified import materials. Applications should be submitted to MIDA. Next is incentives for employees' accommodation. Buildings used for employees for the purpose of living accommodation in hotel or tourism business are eligible for special industrial building allowance of 10% of the expenditure incurred on the construction purchase of the building for 10 years.
My name is Najahida. I will continue with criteria for eligibility of tax incentive. The criteria include three. First is group inclusive tours, domestic tour, and double deduction. An inclusive group tour is a tour package to or from Malaysia or within Malaysia conducted by tourists from outside Malaysia, including transportation and accommodation. Exemption from tax on statutory income derived from tour operation business by resident company meeting the following criteria license under the Tourism Industry Act 1992. For domestic tour, a domestic tour is a tour package for travel within Malaysia used by local industry including transport and accommodation. Local tourists are individuals who are Malaysian, citizen or resident in Malaysia. Exemption from tax on statutory income derived from carrying on a domestic tourism business by a resident company meeting the following criteria license under the Tourism Industry Act 1992. For double deduction, the eligibility criteria for the double deduction are the residents in Malaysia who run a hotel business in a hotel and tourism operation business registered with the Malaysian Tourism Development Corporation. The expenses incurred are given as a further deduction in arriving at the adjusted income. So, that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Shazani binti Johari. I will present on the findings from Impiana Hotel Berhad. Impiana Hotel Berhad is currently enjoying the tax incentive as the comparative figure has been restated to reflect the actual and absorbed capital allowance and unutilized tax losses carried forward. Any unutilized tax losses in a year of assessment can only be allowed to carry forward up to a maximum of 7 consecutive years of assessment effective from year assessment 2019. However, the availability of the unutilized tax losses will be subject to IRB discretion and approval to offset against future taxable profit. Since the beginning of the pandemic, many hotels and tourism businesses were forced to close as a travel restriction and series of MCO were imposed, resulting in a critical cash flow, including Impiana Hotel Berhad, that has major cause of their losses. From the finding on Annual Report 2021, COVID-19 influenced financial performance of Impiana Hotel Berhad, especially in the earlier part for the year 2020. Overall, there was a positive improvement in the year-on-year financial result of the group, resulting in financial year end 2021, the group recording a loss of RM 10.73 million as compared to a loss of RM 62.37 million for financial period ended 2020. Other finding that can be observed from the annual report is Impiana Hotel Berhad is mainly for tourism and hospitality. Since the financial year has really hit tourism and hospitality to the very core, especially in the earlier part of the year, there seems nothing much that Impiana that they can do. Impiana Hotel Berhad working hard to diversify their source of revenue, leveraging on their hospitality and development experience. Impiana Hotel Berhad need to attract more foreign tourists in the coming year, as foreign tourist arrival of more than 2 million as of June 2022 are well below that of 26.1 million in 2019. They can also provide more discounts to local and member privilege to earn back profit from their losses. Hotel industry can be healthy through generous tax incentives to corporate taxpayer and projects. Impiana needs to collaborate with Ministry of Tourism in order to gain more tax incentive for their benefits.
The recommendations that allow company to potentially maximize the use of tax incentive are first, to carry out new investment in hotel and tourism project, to make them eligible for pioneer status with an income tax exemption of 70% and an investment tax allowance of 60% on eligible capital expenditure. They should expand their business to claim the investment incentive in hotel and tourism projects. Second is to get more foreign tourists as well as local tourists to get tax exemption on tourism operator. This incentive applies to tour operator license by the Malaysian Ministry of Tourism and Culture. Next recommendation, operator can do car rental services for tourists. For rental car operators are eligible for a full excise duty exemption on the purchase of national car and to enable tourists to explore challenging destinations. Tour operators are also eligible for a 50% excise duty exemption on four-wheel drive vehicle local installation. And in addition, double deduction on overseas promotion activities and trade fair can be claimed. Eligibility criteria for promotional activities are subject to MOTEX approval, while trade fairs are approved only by participating in international fairs in Malaysia. Last but not least, luxury yacht can be owned whose business is conducted on Langkawi Islands is eligible for a 100% income tax exemption for 5 years. However, this application must be submitted to the Minister of Finance. The conclusion is to strengthen the competitiveness of the tourism industry. The government provides tax incentive for the expansion, modernization, and refurbishment of hotel, theme parks, and other tourism projects. Malaysia offers various tax incentives from tax exemption allowance to enhanced tax deduction. Generally, tax incentives are available for tax resident companies. Pioneer status is an incentive in the form of tax exemption given to the companies that participate in promoted activities or produce promoted product for a period of 5 or 10 years. An alternative to pioneer status incentive is usually the investment tax allowance. Investment tax allowance is an incentive given based on capital expenditure incurred on industrial building, plants and machinery used for the purpose of promoted activities or the production of promoted product. These incentives are usually granted for a period of 5 or 10 years. That's all from us. Thank you.